Alrighty, I'm back again. I wanted to get this screen in because I wanted to make the point that it's from Pravda.ru. It's actually English.pravda.ru. That's the site you want to go to get some of the best news you'll find. This one specifically is Paulson and the U.S. collapse. Let's blame it on Russia. We do everything else. It's good to see that U.S. officials and former officials continue acting to par. God forbid they actually shock the United States, or shock us. Boo! So used to seeing that. And change their stripes. The latest tripe out of the mouths of the mega-corrupted and their hand-picked puppets is Henry Paulson's about Russia trying to collapse the U.S. economic bubble, and that being the reason that the U.S. is now down on its luck. Why not? It says here that Russia had $450 billion, give or take a little bit, invested in the U.S., and that is not counting the various steel plants and other assets owned by Russian companies. Why wouldn't they just throw away all that money? Surely it could never be the fact that the U.S. government and people and corporations are debt drunk. That's a true statement if I ever heard one. And indentured fools who cannot live within their means and spend and continue to spend like maniacs. It's almost like an alcoholic in his final stages of death knowing it's all over. Why the hell not just drink like crazy, the liver's done anyways, or a man dying from lung cancer who just keeps chain smoking, not going to make a difference at this point anyways. It says, but Henry Paulson is an egotist, former top official who obviously, one, doesn't want to be seen as the fool and boob that he is, and two, go to jail or worse, get lynched by angry mobs. If that isn't... wow. You want to get it like it is, you come to this site. That's the funniest. So he does what any failed U.S. government or business hack does. Who can try and get away with it? He blames it on Russia, the evil tyrant, the ones who have a spy under every bed, and an assassin with a uranium-filled syringe in every closet, and a banker with a nuclear bomb at every stock market. This is no different from the usual blame Russia for Georgia's aggression committed by a maniac U.S. puppet. Blame Russia for a hyper-armed Middle East while the U.S. hands out $12 billion in weapons to the Middle East, most of it to the Islamics, each and every year. Let's just pause and look at everything from here to there. That's just amazing to me. You know, everybody else knows it. They talk about it as if it's fact, you know. And here, idiots argue about it for days on end. But in Russia, in the other papers where we don't have our grasp and we're not able to tell them what to think, they know what's going on and they talk about it openly. Blame Russia for Syria while the U.S. pays Syria to run black ops, prisons, and torture captives the U.S. delivers. Blame Russia for Hamas and the PLO while the U.S. saves the PLO from Israeli-Lebanese Christian extermination and then legitimizes them and arms them. Blame Russia for Serbia while the United States arms Islamic fanatics and wages a terror war of genocide on Orthodox Christian Serbs. So now, while United States banks and their lapdog English fellow sociopaths were conning and robbing the world blind till it all collapsed, let's now blame Russia for this too. It says the U.S. media is more than happy to join in, and headlines are abuzz. Just do a Google search for the English versions. Russia's risky roulette, declares the New York Post. Amazing, the shit. That's the... I didn't even see it as just blaming everything on Russia. It seemed to me more like maybe they actually had a hand in some of these things. But the way they're saying it, it might be their media machine too, spitting out and pretending like they're innocent for things that they might not be. But I mean, you gotta look at all news like that. It could be bullshit at all times. Russia tried to talk China into waging financial war on the U.S. in '08. as the country was mired in a mortgage crisis, according to a forthcoming book by former Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson. Russian leaders wanted the Chinese government to dump billions of dollars worth of bonds tied to ailing mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They state this as a fact. Why not? It's not like they will ever be called out on their lies. If that isn't the number one fact of this entire article, I don't know what is. Paulson says Russia urged China to dump Fannie, Freddie bonds, declares Bloomberg via Businessweek. The Russians made a top-level approach to the Chinese that together they might sell big chunks of their GSE holdings to force the U.S. to use its emergency authorities to prop up the companies. Paulson said. As soon as it says something about Paulson saying it or an American saying it, it is horseshit. That's a guarantee. Referring to the acronym for government-sponsored entities. The Chinese declined, he said. So they're saying that he's trying to say that Russia's just going all out. They're calling in all their favors and trying to just fuck us on our assholes. And then he has the nuts to act like, well, the Chinese said no, they'd rather be on our side. Ooh, I'm a prick. Of course, what Paulson and everybody else avoids answering is the simple question of why. What would Russia gain? Secondly, at this point, the U.S. would have done just what it did anyways, which is nationalize the two companies, which it was propping up. Conspiracy is much easier to deal with than to answer for 3 decades of failed American social engineering financed with the savings and futures of much of the world. The only proof they have is that Russia sold off its $65 billion in Fannie and Freddie in 2008. Oh my, you mean that our government had the brains not to ride the crashing plane to the bottom but decided to jump out with a parachute? Why not blame every other investor who sold? My bet is Mr. Paulson owned any of that stock, he was out of it long before mid-08. Furthermore, $65 billion is a drop in the hat to the trillions of debt that those two organizations hold. I don't even know what to say about it. My views on it are pretty simple. Are pretty obvious. I've made it pretty obvious as I giggle through the whole fucking thing. I don't know. Always an interesting article from the Russians, though. Always, always. I'd like to point out, if they've got it here, yes. There is an entire section of news article called The Demise of America. They keep a pretty close eye on us, so we should probably keep a pretty close eye on it. Well, alright. And, let's do this real quick. Just for fun at the end. Diddy. Yes. Titty. Alright.